COVID created, assistance needs, daycare needs, job employment needs. So you have tremendous needs. Also, this budget is going to raise two big questions. It's going to raise the question of taxes. How much do you need to raise in tax revenue given the federal bill? And what are the smartest and best ways to raise revenue? You can raise revenue in ways that actually cost the state revenue, right? So there's going to be a discussion about taxes. There's also going to be a discussion about a cliff. What does that mean? This federal aid is really the ultimate one shot when you think about it. You get, let's say, $20 billion into the state. But it's what they used to call a one shot. It's a sugar high. It is non-repetitive. So how you spend it, where you spend it, how quickly you spend it is going to be very important, because this is not a sustainable level of spending. This is basically an emergency relief bill, and it is non-recurring. So you give an organization $10 million this year, there is no $10 million next year for the organization, right? You couldn't possibly match this level of revenue. That's going to make the budget tricky. It is also going to allow us to accelerate, though, our reconstruction program. Because remember, step one was get the budget done. Step two was you have to rebuild. You have to rebuild. You have to rebuild physically. You have to rebuild morale. You have to rebuild public safety. You have to rebuild public transportation. You have to rebuild New York. This is not going to be natural evolution where New York just ascends naturally. We took a beating here, and we're going to have to build back. But with this federal aid, it's a big piece towards that role. One last piece. There are some legislators who suggest that I resign because of accusations that are made against me. I was elected by the people of the state. I wasn't elected by politicians. I'm not going to resign because of allegations. The premise of resigning because of allegations is actually anti-democratic, and we've always done the exact opposite. You know, the system is based on due process and the credibility of the allegation. Anybody has the ability to make an allegation in democracy, and that's great. But it's in the credibility of the allegation. And we've gone through this with the legislature. I remember when we set up JCOPE, we set up this whole elaborate process that the accusation was private. The person who was accused got a private letter, but the accusation was private. Why? Because it's damaging to publicize allegations before you know that they are credible. JCOPE has hundreds of allegations, but until they are reviewed, they're private. The Inspector General's office has hundreds of accusations, but until you go through the due process. So we have the Attorney General who's doing an independent review. She has all the allegations. Anybody can make an allegation to her, and let the Attorney General do her job. She's very good. She's very competent. And that will be due process, and then we'll have the facts. That's why Senator Schumer said, let the Attorney General do her investigation. Senator Gillibrand said, let the Attorney General do her investigation. Congressman Jeffries said, let the Attorney General do her investigation. The White House spokesperson said, let the Attorney General do the investigation, because that's democracy. No, there is no way I resign. Let's do the Attorney General investigation. Let's get the findings, and then we'll go from there. But I'm not going to be distracted by this either. We have to get a budget done in 3 weeks. We have a lot of work to do, for this state. This is not about me and accusations about me. The Attorney General can handle that. This is about doing the people's business. And this next 6 months, I believe, will determine the future trajectory for New York State. What we do in this budget, how successful we are in rebuilding, how positive we portray this state going forward, how resilient we appear. We have to say to those New Yorkers who are looking at us and saying, do they have a future or do they not have a future? Should I move to a warmer climate? Is New York ever going to come back? We have 6 months of an open window where we have to say, you're damn right, we're coming back. And we're coming back stronger than ever before. And not just say it, we're going to show it, and you're going to see new public works, and you're going to see a real shot in the arm for this state. You're going to see us do vaccines where we're going to have the massive vaccination effort where people will see this is going to be a thing of the past. We're going to beat COVID. No government is better at doing its job than this government. And we've shown that all through COVID. And we're not going to be distracted from that. Okay, let's take a couple of questions, please.
Thank you, Governor. Ladies and gentlemen, if you would like to ask a question, you may press star, then the number 1 on your telephone keypad. Once again, you may press star 1 to ask a question. Please stand by while we compile the Q&A roster. Your first question is from the line of Dan Clark from PBS. Your line is open.
Hey, Governor, can you hear me?
Yes, Mr. Dan.
Hi there. So Senator Schumer's office says that New York is getting $12.5 billion from the stimulus deal, and I know that you were looking for $15 billion. And you mentioned it a little bit in terms of how to fill the gap between 12.5 and 15. What options are you considering right now? Are you keeping on the table tax hikes for the rich? Because I know that that's something that you didn't want to do if we got the full $15 billion.
It is on the table, Dan, because you're right. It's, excuse me, it is, excuse me 1 second, Dan. It is the difference between 12.5 and 15. And don't get me wrong, the 12.5 billion is very, very helpful. But as you know, because I said it 150 times, we needed 15 billion in my opinion. So we do have a gap there. And tax increases are on the table. And they're on the table for the Assembly and the Senate. I'm not speaking for them. They can speak for themselves. But yes, they are on the table because you have damage to repair. So when I said we have 2 challenges in this budget, we have tax increases and the quote-unquote cliff issue, which is going to be an issue all across the board. That one-time infusion is great, but it also is very complicated and creates future problems. But yes, they are on the table. And it is the difference between the 12.5 and the 15.
Thank you, Governor. Your next question comes from the line of Carol Doria from 1010 Wins. Your line is open.
Thank you, Governor, for taking my call. I heard what you said about, that you would not resign and that you don't want to be distracted. I did hear you say that. But what do you say to people like Senator Biaggi, Congresswoman Rice, people who are already in your own party calling for your resignation? What do you say to them?
I say, Carol, I have a newsflash for you. There is politics in politics. There is politics in politics. And look, I have political differences with people. I have political differences with Republicans. I have political differences with Senator Biaggi and Democrats. But they don't override the people's will. They don't override elections. They don't get to hear an allegation and make a determination on the allegation. If that's what Senator Biaggi wants to do, let's release all the allegations that Jacob and the Attorney General and the DAs have about Senate members, and then let's put them out in the public arena. And then let's decide publicly, yay or nay, should this allegation cause a person to resign. That's absurd. People are free to make allegations, but then we also have a process of due process where people get the facts and then they make a determination. I was the Attorney General of New York for 4 years. I got all sorts of allegations against politicians all the time. And they weren't public. I dealt with them. We found the facts. If there was an issue, then I brought it forth. But it's about the facts. And the people elected me, not the politicians. And the politicians want to play politics. That's what they do. But I'm not going to be distracted because there is too much to do for the people. Next question.
Your next question comes from the line of Michael Kaplan from CBS News. Your line is open.
Hello, Michael. Hello. Can you hear me?
Hey, Governor, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Charlotte Bennett told our Nora O'Donnell in an interview that she reported your June 5th conversation in which she says you sexually harassed her to your senior aides, your chief of staff, and your general counsel. Were you ever made aware of her complaint at the time?
I said in my statement that I was never aware at the time that Miss Bennett felt uncomfortable at any time when we were working together. But on the rule of do the job you were assigned to do, the Attorney General is doing an investigation. That's what she does. That's how this works. Let her do her investigation. She'll then issue her findings, and then everybody can comment on from there. Next question, operator.
Your next question comes from the line of Kimberly Richardson from WABC. Your line is open.
Hi, Governor Cuomo. How are you?
Good, Kimberly. How are you?
I'm good. This weekend, as we all know, 2 more women have come forward, Karen Hinton and Anna Liss, making allegations. Can you comment specifically on what they're saying allegedly happened?
Yeah. Again, I don't want to get distracted in allegations that people make and let the Attorney General look at them. But just in general, Ms. Hinton, every woman has a right to come forward. That's true. But the truth also matters. What she said is not true. And as everybody who has been involved on any level in New York politics knows, she has been a long time political adversary of mine, highly critical for many, many years, and has made many, many accusations. On the Miss Liss, if you look, there was a story that one of the papers looked at 150 employees who worked for me over 40 years. You see the same pattern. I say to people in the office, how you doing? How's everything? Are you going out? Are you dating? That's my way of doing friendly banter. I take pictures with people at ceremonial events. That is a very common practice. You come into my office, I have pictures of me with President Obama, President Clinton. They're great mementos. So we take pictures with people. If you like the picture, you frame it and you put it on your desk. If you don't like the picture, you throw it in the garbage. That's your right. But if the question is going to be how many people did I take pictures with, one event at the mansion, there's a line where I take hundreds and hundreds of pictures. But I never, and I don't even think she said it, I never meant to make anyone feel unwelcome in any way. I know if customs change, then I'll change the customs and the behaviors. But I never meant to make anyone feel any uncomfortable. Next question.
Your next question comes from the line of Ann Thompson from NBC News. Your line is open.
Thank you, and thank you, Governor. Are you saying that the women who are accusing you of sexual harassment are lying?
No. I said I encourage every woman to come forward. I then said the Attorney General is doing an investigation.
Right, but did you do these things?
I just said what Karen Hinton said was not true. Did I take a picture with Miss Liss? Yes, I took a picture with Miss Liss. But taking a picture is commonplace, is what I was saying. So you have the Attorney General. I was the Attorney General. They go through the allegations. They go through the facts. They go through the circumstances. They go through what one side says, what the other side says, what the circumstances were, and then they make a factual judgment. And that's how the process has always worked on every level. People make allegations. Great. That's democracy. Women should come forward. Yes. And then there should be a qualified independent finder of the fact, and that's what the Attorney General is. And we'll wait her report. But in the meantime, I'm not going to get distracted by this because it is all irrelevant in the meantime, because what is determinative is what the Attorney General finds. That's the factual finding. And the Attorney General has to do her job, and she's very competent to do that. In the meantime, I have to do my job, and the Assembly has to do their job, and the Senate has to do their job. We have to get a budget passed in 3 weeks. We have to get 15 million vaccinations done. We have to restore public safety in New York State. We have to get tenants aid that they need to stay in their home. We need to make decisions and put this state back on a trajectory for a positive future. That's my job, and the Senate's job, and the Assembly's job. And we're doing it together. And then the Attorney General does her job. And when she finishes her job, we'll take that from there. But I'm going to do the job I'm assigned. I'm going to do the job that the people elected me to do. I'm not going to play politics with people who say, well, I think you should resign. That's nice. I'm going to do my job, wait for the facts from the Attorney General, focus on what we have to do. I believe this is the probably most difficult period for state government in modern history. Post-COVID and dealing with the pandemic, the rebirth is the second most challenging task. when the hurricane hits, the first task is get in the boats and save people from drowning. That's now passing with COVID. The second step is now you deal with the mess that the flood left. And vaccinations, rebuilding, that's new budget, smart investment, 3 weeks, which is a blink of an eye. That's the job that we have to do. And I'm not going to be distracted by it, and I don't believe anyone should be distracted by it. Everyone has a job to do. Play your position, do your job. That's what I'm going to do. Thank you, guys. It is a beautiful Sunday in Albany. A little chilly, but beautiful. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's conference call. Thank you all for joining. You may now disconnect.